Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone, thank you for joining us. It's Brandon with Galloway Precision, Erik with N.A.G Industries, and joining us tonight,
Poppy!
Erik Galloway, president of Galloway Precision. All right. So, where does that joke come in? All right. You see us giggling and laughing like idiots. The ongoing joke is when we met Erik many moons ago, 4 or 5 years ago almost now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
At SHOT, we called him Junior because he wanted to do things like what we do. He wanted to do it, but for Californians behind enemy lines. And so that's been the ongoing shop joke between the two shops.
Who's been drinking today, Brandon?
Well, right this moment. Well, hello, Marcus. Right this minute, out of my Christmas story glass is some Jameson and ginger ale. See, he's drinking Bud Light. I don't want to hear it.
Drinking water.
But
I'm enjoying a good Alec Bradley, though.
There we go. So, thanks for coming on tonight, Erik and Erik. And do you want to tell everybody what your newest good news is?
Oh, I got to hold off a little bit on that.
Okay.
Yep.
Well then, we're gonna talk a little out of order then, and what we'll do is we'll talk about a different thing that he's going to be doing. That's a big deal. All right. So what we're going to be doing is Erik's wanting to get everybody's opinion on something. And what that is he has found himself one of the PSA, was it the pistol or the carbine lower?
It has to be the carbine for California.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Even with your credentials, you still get screwed. Yep. He's gonna dig it up here in a minute. We figured something out before we went live. We figured out how to add another screen and show you what we're looking at. So then you guys will actually be able to see stuff. So he's wanting to know how he should finish his build because it's coming as a complete carbine lower. I would say an upgraded trigger, obviously, once you get the lower. But beyond that, what should he buy to build it? Because it's going to be 7.62 by 39. This is what it, obviously, because the PSA K47 lower takes AK mags, much like the CMMG Mutant.
So my question is, can you put a bullet button on it? Because I hear those make it full auto.
oh, is that how it works? Kind of like when
I believe those are mandatory.
when you see the Honda driving by with all the stickers, you're like, that's 100 extra horsepower right there.
All right.
Minimum per sticker.
Per sticker. All right. So here we have it. All right. So this is what we're talking about, which, we talked about this in the first episode. And the thing of it is, right now is the time to really start buying this stuff because eventually the market will start evening out a bit. Why we're seeing such great prices on stuff right now is because the market got so oversaturated because of 2014. And so it's so flooded right now. That's why you can pick up, lowers for $35-$40. You can pick up what is essentially a CMMG Mutant, and I'm going to catch flack for that when people listen to this later that are, it's so much better quality. Here's the thing. Forging's a forging. All right.
Bill it, man.
Right, exactly. This isn't PSA ripping anybody off. This is, a lot of what PSA does is they do licenses of other products as their own, but they're doing them in such mass quantity. That's why you get them at the price you can get them.
Do you get to keep the pistol grip, Erik?
Yeah, I'm going to have to put a break action feature on it, though. So my options either a break action figure or I can pin the stock, put a fin on it, and make sure it has a muzzle brake.
Just,
I mean,
uh,
that'll work.
yeah. Well, there was a company that was doing a new California, MA, New York, all the commie state legal grip adapter. Now I can't remember who it is, but it's one of the ones that was.
But I promise I won't be this guy.
Oh man, I don't know. That is
can you
pretty
tell me,
sweet.
Can you tell me what's wrong in this photo?
Yes. Marcus, you're up there with us talking to us. I know there's at least 6 of you watching. Did anybody notice the problem with these Magpul sights? Well, they're the sights are on backwards for one.
But it's double barrel banana magazine.
Well, there's that too. It's got full auto double barrel clipazine that has armory piercing bullets, as the LAPD chick that was on the force for 20 years said. Like, I'm sure she is so shunned right now. Like, people see her walking down the street and they're like, bitch, I don't know you. Because, I mean, that gave everybody a bad name in that department when that woman went on the news like that and said the most ridiculous thing and then claimed to be an expert with firearms because she was a cop for 20 years. Like, every cop in America right then went, oh no. And you can't do stuff like that when you're in that position. That's just, come on, man. What's coming out of your mouth doesn't sound right. You can't have been a cop that long. You can't have been in the force, whether you're admin, doesn't matter, man. You can't be on the force that long and really not pick up at least somewhat proper lingo. And instead of just making it up as you go along.
That's like the story I told you about the cop there in Chattanooga that had his Beretta hammer was glued down on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's lots of cops, I think, that don't do any sort of checks or preventive maintenance because they don't have to. They maybe have an office job, that sort of thing. Maybe that's her excuse. Last time she saw it was when she went through the clubhouse to get her, little star pinned on. So.
I have met people inside LAPD because we go down and do demonstrations and stuff with them. And it's crazy. It's just like the Army. You have your supply unit, you have your office unit, and you'll meet captains. All they've done is promoted in the supply unit.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, whoa, that's crazy. But there's a job that needs to be filled, right?
Yeah. And you're always going to have administration stuff no matter what. Oh, and then Marcus makes a good point there. Professional and expert are completely different in every industry. And that's true, and I think a lot of people mistake that we're not knocking these people per se. We take a little jab at them because it's funny. But the reality of it is, just like Erik explained, he's the one who deals with a lot of the LEOs in California. He does a lot of the work for them. He's their Vortex rep. He's a lot of other reps for these people. And he makes the military connotation. He's right. You'll always hear bullets don't fly without supply. Yeah, we get it. But here's the thing. Everybody's job is literally for the combat arms guys on the front lines doing their job. And, the same can be said for LEOs, for the guys that are on patrol, the detectives, things like that. You've got all admin bureaucracy with any governmental type agency. It's there. You can't help it. It's like ingrained 100 years now. There's just no getting rid of it. And so you run into that a lot.
Yeah, When it's not on camera, I got some funny stories that I ran into at PDs.
So,
Yeah, it's.
Oh yeah, trust me. There's some that
But,
yeah.
Definitely had some
I
good
wanted
ones.
to point something out real quick, though, before we hop off of this build project. One of the biggest issues on the 7.62x39 uppers was the feed ramp wasn't right. You remember? Like
Oh,
when people
yeah.
started building these? Well, they actually cut out one of the lugs. The other thing that they've been doing to fix that issue, look, they've been doing over insert tabs. So it's actually not
just
having the
like
malfunctions.
just like it should, like an actual AK.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people understand that that is actually how a stamped AK holds the magazine in place. Everybody thinks that it's the release. I mean, yeah, obviously the release keeps the magazine up, but what actually holds it centered to the receiver are those two dimples.
Yep.
And yeah, that's why you can rock them front to back, but sometimes if you've got a really good, nice stamped receiver, like an Arsenal or something like that, you shouldn't have any side-to-side movement at all. Those dimples are made to hold that thing right in place.
I used to own one of the Century Arms where you could take the pistol grip and the magazine and twist them and pop the pins out.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it was great, man.
That was back when Century had, I think, blind rhesus monkeys putting their stuff together instead of, and that's to say too, their quality has come up quite a bit on their AKs, quite a lot. I had one of
their milled ones the other day. It was pretty impressive.
I had a C39, one of the V2 milled ones for a while.
Oh, wow.
It was real nice, and it was when it first came out, so I got it fairly cheap. And then someone offered me stupid money for it, so I was like, "Oh yeah," and that's I'm human. I'm prone
still
to it.
waiting to stumble across that person that inherited a DZ51.
I know.
Just
Man,
to play with. I'll give it back. I just want to play with it for an afternoon.
I keep looking at the 52s that are coming in surplus, and those things are pretty sweet. But the problem is, you're basically stuck. See, now that would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Here's what I am doing. This is the whole purpose of this is to be my truck gun. So if I run to demos or something and I just need to show something real quick because the ammo's cheap, throw an optic on top of it. But the one little thing that bothered me about this and this whole thing was charging handle. So I'm getting one of the side charging uppers. So that's what I'm going to do.
That's what I would do. It was a Bear Creek Arsenal one. They're pretty solid, man. They're in Concord actually. They're not too far from us.
Coast. We could drive you down there at lunch.
Yep, that's right.
I may have to TIG weld up some of those tabs on it though, because those are coming on the uppers now. That would be the only downside to having the side charging.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, or actually, all you need to do is just get a side charger bolt. Just mill it yourself.
True.
That would be the easiest thing to do. Because earlier when I was on Instagram, I was looking at a Pew Pew channel had come up, and he made a good point because he's a southpaw. And he made a good point about knowing anybody that might be right-handed running a left-handed upper, because being left-handed for him, he runs a right-handed upper. He likes that because with his right, when his peripheral vision of his right eye, he can watch the port. You can see the stoppage before you start reacting to the stoppage. Instead of if you see a double feed, you already know tap rack bang ain't going to do it. So immediately go to second or what malfunction drill to run instead. And I was like, that's a concept I hadn't thought about, which that would be a perfect show of that, because you're going to be all left-handed operation of it, but still running a right-handed.
Well, the cool part is like X products here.
Oh, that's pretty sweet, actually.
They've already done it to where you can choose if you want to be a lefty or a righty. You can switch the ejection. If I could get my computer to stop jumping around.
Kind of like the Tavors were originally when they came in. You could pick
Hey, what's going on, Gizzard?
Freaked out.
Yeah,
So,
that might be. I would look at that. That's not bad either.
no.
For all the machining that goes into that, because that's not that. I mean, come on, we know how much machining just went into all that. That's a couple different ops on each side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't easy or quick.
That's a good price for that kind of work too, because that is definitely not easy or quick.
No, it isn't.
No, that's nice though.
And then New Frontier Armory is the other company that I see making side charging, which I've gone to play with these. We've done a whole bunch of 9mm builds for customers, and we've been using their uppers on the 9mm builds. Oh, where is it?
To the right. I'm sitting here pointing at my screen like you can see what I'm doing.
Look it, damn it, look it.
Look right there.
Called him so
right.
well.
It's this one, their C4, but this one is an ambi.
But still, that's pretty it's non-reciprocating, obviously.
Yep.
That is nice, actually. That's not bad at all. Again, I think people look at stuff like this because people look at New Frontier and they're like, well, they're the guys that make the cheap polymer stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's how they got their start, man. But everybody's got to start. You got to start somewhere. And, it's not like, either of the companies that we're all in just built themselves overnight. It started with stuff that, was cheap and plentiful and we could do, and look at what it's built into. So don't knock, people, anyone listening or watching right now, don't knock New Frontier Armory stuff. I mean, just because you look at it and you hear the name and you're like, $225, that's ridiculous. That is a lot of machine time right there. That is a lot of craftsmanship and design work.
Programming and a lot of engineering, and it's a lot of time.
And another, just talking about companies, and I have a super close relationship with them. And I was very weary before I got to know the guys. Strike Industries.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They make some off the wall stuff. You're like, I would never use that. But then, like their new rail system that they came out with, their new quick disconnect setup, I played with a whole bunch of those. They're awesome. They're actually the only company. I'll show you. They have 870 handguards that are M-LOK, aluminum.
Oh, really?
We're taking them to departments, and we have the Benelli M4s too. So let's go there real quick.
How about TAC 14?
Those things are awesome.
How about his SBS? Come on, man. Hook a brother up.
So let's see right here, 870. I mean,
dude, you can whack somebody pretty well with that too.
I mean, I've gone and play with these things hands-on. They're awesome. We have departments out here that are still running shotguns. They're getting ready to adopt this because they can put their flashlights on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, and that's the brilliant thing. So that's the only thing with the MOE I've got on mine is, I can put a flashlight on it. But the other thing too is that front stop. Once I'm there, you've got to use such a drop down on the MOE grip that it kind of makes it pointless. And the only other option used to be the 870
Surefire,
by Streamlight. Surefire, the Surefire one, the 870 and the Mossberg, both of them. So that's why everybody clamored for the MOE. And don't get me wrong, I love the thing. It's a great product. I use MOE on pretty much everything. But this is a really good solution that actually people want because you can easily attach stuff to the front and it not interfere with anything.
Well, going back to a little bit of the AK stuff, and we'll eventually hop off this, but I mean, look, $89 for your AK to make it so you have a rail.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, and it's quality. Like everybody's like, it's plastic. All this stuff that I get from them, majority of it is all aluminum.
That's machine stateside.
Yeah, I believe it is. I'm not going to answer that for them because I don't know. I haven't asked that question.
Well, it's got it. Well, like go scroll back down, like or right there. That's perfect. GSA. All right.
Mm-hmm.
For those that do not know this, GSA means they have a government contract to supply these to the U.S. government.
Yep.
All right. So that means you have to pass a certain amount, and everybody knows, yeah, well, it's the lowest bidder. Yeah, this is true, but you still have a stringent amount of stuff you've got to pass in order for them to want to buy something in bulk that any supply sergeant in any branch of the military can call and go, I need this NSA number, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Or NSN, not NSA. don't tase us, bro. You know, and get it. And so that's a big deal that I don't think a lot of people understand when they see something like that, what that actually means. That's actually a pretty big deal. If you're on the GSA list.
It is. So they have a whole thing in here of GSA stuff. So, but yeah, outside of all that, I think I'm at least going to pick up the lower and go from there.
So yeah, before we move on, those that are just joining us, what we've been talking about is what we're going to do for Erik's first quasi AK build. With
the other side of the curtain.
Yeah, PSA, AK.
Some Kydex that's in pink to make your fin connect the pistol grip.
I can make you something.
I'll let you do it.
Sweet. Oh man, we got to laser engrave like Hello Kitty or something into it. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Will you guys be my first sponsor for 3-Gun?
There you go. You tell me what optic you need. I'll get it for you.
Deal.
Yeah, I'll get you a good one. I bet it'd be a Vortex.
I may know a person or two over there.
All right. So, gun owner, get the SAR-9 and your trigger douche kit. Should I use a gunsmith or jump off the porch myself? I mean, honestly, if you follow the video, it's really not hard at all. Since we dropped the striker spring because we were finding variations in the striker sleeves, just the trigger return spring and the blocker spring replacement is really, really easy, real simple. We get messages all the time. I hate tooting my own horn on this thing, but talking about how great the install videos are that we do, because I try to make it as easy because I remember being the dumb kid watching, the people that I was learning from do this stuff going, oh, wonder what that is. Everybody starts somewhere. We all do. We really do.
How many phone calls did you get from me? Hey, I'm not sure what this.
I don't know how this goes. So honestly, what I would suggest is watch the install video and then just judge for yourself. But it's really not all that difficult to do. The great thing about the way that the SAR-9 is put together, instead of like a Glock, everything comes out in one piece instead of you start pulling stuff out and springs go flying and things go flying everywhere. You actually pull it all out in one big piece. So that's a good thing about it. And if you're wondering, anybody watching, that's the speakeasy.
There's the speaker. That's where I'm headed. If I drop off screen for a second. I'll be back.
All right. So, well, if you unplug, you'll be able to hear us too. So if you want to add from afar, we should be able to hear you.
Why did you tell him? I was waiting for him to keep walking and pull the phone and everything.
Hold the iPad with him.
Yeah.
Just
That's easy
remember,
to do,
there's a reason you
because
call me
the-
Daddy. I know to unplug.
Hey, what's going on, Snob? What is this?
All right.
It's us doing a podcast because, we like the homeless look I provide from my basement. The lovely sunny California vibe from N.A.G Industries, and then the
With the 2 wine
speakeasy.
photos.
Yes, the 2 wine photos,
Just 2?
and
There you
then Erik from the speakeasy.
There's just ghost in the background.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yep,
Ghost
Gurkha.
Junior.
That was.
It's Gurkha.
I remember where we found those. Was at Smiley's before it just became.
Is Brandon
much.
talking? I can't hear him.
How
I
about
can
now?
hear you.
Huh.
I can hear you.
Well, hang on a second.
Oh,
How
damn,
about
you're
now?
being called out
Oh,
right
I
now,
got you.
Brandon.
No, he's wanting. You know who that is, don't you? That's
No.
Gun Snob. I've been on the podcast with him before. He's the one that loves the Star 9 stuff we do, and he's trying to get his slides in and get it cut in a week is what he's trying to do. And I told him we can't do that. He's got to get in line like everybody else.
Would be fair.
No, he's on his iPad.
You should. I'm not. We might be able to sneak him in over here.
Now, yeah, could have you send you out to N.A.G. That'd be pretty easy to do.
I don't know if we'd hit the week mark, but if you guys are pretty backed up, we could probably cover down on that because we got all caught up on our cuts as of Friday. Can you hear me?
All right, hold on.
Can you hear me, Brandon?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
No, he's not still. He literally just doesn't move much. That's not bad feed. That's just Erik not moving.
It's true.
Yeah, he just.
Watch the ash. That's how you know it's actually moving.
Oh yeah, yeah. N.A.G can definitely handle that because I don't want to get backed up. Let's put it that way. Right now, we're in a good, smooth. People are sending in a nice wave, but I don't want to get backed up. So yeah, it'd probably be cool to send it out to N.A.G. Plus, he's the guy that can do all the crazy laser engraving on the slide, like we showed you at SHOT. All right. 28 minutes. We have a half hour left.
Erik, do you have one of those slides handy you can show real quick?
Oh, stand by. Let me grab one.
I can't hear him.
Don't run off. But there you go.
He's a daddy now. I still can't
to
hear him. What do I need to do on my end? I can hear you fine, but no Erik.
Hold on.
Oh, man. Well, here's one of our slides.
There we go.
Yeah.
Say something, Erik.
Hello?
Nada.
I hear him. I'll translate.
I could just ad-lib for you. This would be great.
Oh, this is gonna
You'll
be
love
awesome.
what I'm going to say for you.
So yeah, that's there you go. There's his Vanna Whitehand, and that's the laser stippling. But yeah, we can do the same cuts on the slide too. So he can do all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, so that's who was with me at the booth was Joe from N.A.G. You would have seen Erik, the owner of N.A.G, over at the laser shot booth. Because they're a laser shot vendor as well.
So let's talk about cuts real quick. Brandon, you and me were talking about it, and I should have brought the slide with me. And we just got it back from Cerakote. MOS cuts on Gen 3 to Gen 1, rocking. Came out
MOS
really good.
cuts. All right. Because I don't think Eric still heard you. So MOS cuts, Gen 1, 3 through.
Well, actually, Gen 4 through 1.
Gen 4 through 1. They just got it back from Cerakote, and so N.A.G Industries is able to offer the actual MOS cut to slides. So you get the same plate system that the Glock MOS has because, well, one of the things we looked into is to make sure first we couldn't get sued for this. Well, N.A.G couldn't get sued for this. It is not anything that Glock can patent because of the way it is, and they've changed it just 10%. So boom, there you go, and you're golden. So they're able to do the same style cut, which also means that they can cut your already MOS. They can make a plate for it,
and get you the correct sights, unlike Glock.
That too. Get you the actual correct height, suppressor height sights to go with the MOS cut they do to your slide. And they're able to do that again, the Gen 1 through 4s. So even the first gens, because we all know the thing about Glock is, you know, I'm not a huge fan, but it's the AK of the pistol world. Things utilitarian. It works. It's good at a lot of different things. It's not great at any one thing.
Well, it's the new standard, too, if you think about it. Everybody knows what a G19 is.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
No matter what you're looking at, you compare it to a G19 in some way, people can relate to it.
Exactly.
So I don't know if Eric can hear me, but this is truth. I had somebody roll into my shop that was a tweaker 2 days ago.
He had a tweaker come into the shop 2 days ago. Awesome.
And he points to his shorts and he says, "Hey, who's the one that has the bullet hole just like mine?"
You don't want to know what I ad-libbed for that.
And I'm like, sir, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, well, I just got shot at yesterday and went through my shorts.
I kind of hear you.
He's like, it went through my shorts, and then, but there's another guy
headset might be
that got a bullet hole through his shirt, and I want to trade my car for a gun that goes. And I said, well, what kind? And I said, what kind of gun is that? He says it's a Glock. And I said, yeah, we don't sell those here.
So you had a crackhead show up. This is going to take me a minute. And
I got it all on camera, bro, in the shop surveillance.
He got apparently shot at some point. And yeah, that's what in the world.
Dude, there's been some weirdos out lately.
Apparently, now can you hear us now that you're trying to change headsets?
Yeah.
All right. How's that now?
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
I can hear you.
All right. Okay. So basically, crack addict rolls up with gun hole pants. All right. We're going to tell it again one more time because we got a few people just joined us. So they've got to hear this. This is fantastic.
So a couple days ago, we keep our doors locked because we do a lot of law enforcement. We are open to the general public, but we make it by appointment only. So I get a knock on the door, and I kind of peep through the window, security camera, open the door, and some guy, and he says, "Hey, where's the guy with the bullet hole in his shirt?" And I said, "There's nobody here." But well, I got shot at the other night, and here's the bullet hole in my shorts. Thank God it barely missed me. I said, "Okay, that's cool." He says, "I want to trade my Honda for a gun that goes." I said, "Oh, okay, what kind of gun is that?" And he says, "It's a Glock." I said, "We don't sell those kind of guns here. Those are illegal." But here's the thing, though.
I know.
But the dude didn't get it. He was definitely on drugs. But talking about Glocks, hell, I remember being deployed and people knew what a Glock were. They didn't know any other gun. They're just like, Glock.
Oh, yeah, dude. Like, that was one of the things that you could easily ask for in Iraq and get, because, you know, we weren't issued pistols. Unless you're a lieutenant in the infantry, you're not getting a pistol. But it's nice to have a sidearm because, you know, the desert sucks and your main weapon can go down like that because a speck of dust got in it. And all you had to do is say Glock, man, and that interpreter would show up next day with like 15 of them. It's just like, Mister. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But we had this one interpreter, Kyle, who his was the Browning high power that he carried when he was Fedaheen. I'm like,
wow.
oh, that's promising. But no, Kyle was a straight dude. He was the one interpreter that we all really, really trusted, and for good reason, because he played a very dangerous game with the local cells. And a lot of people left him alone just for the fact that they knew he was Fedaheen. So that helped us quite a bit. They were like, oh, don't mess with that guy. He's insane. I'm like, yeah, probably. But that was, and he would, you know, I won't name names or any of that, but yeah, he was able to get us. And obviously, only people that listen to this or are watching right now that I deployed with will even know who Kyle is, because they don't go by their actual name. You've never going to meet an Arabic dude named Kyle. Okay, that's it's not going to happen. Like, oh, hey, what's your name? Kyle, blah, 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 you know, in Arabic. Like, no, that's not how that's not a thing. That was, so our interpreters obviously had American names, so we wouldn't butcher their Arabic names.
Well, I know 20 years ago you could be anywhere in South America and say Glock. And they would say Glock.
Oh, yeah. You know, and that's the thing, you know, that's where Gaston knew he was doing right, because of the way that he advertises. Perfection.
Yep.
People love seeing that, but the reality of it is too, it's a workhorse.
Old man on a box didn't work.
Yeah. If they'd have put him and his nurse on there, people might have been like,
It's just a nurse.
Yeah. Speck of dust. Nah, when you're in a desert environment and you can't use oil, it makes things real interesting. You learn real fast that Bob from Des Moines works for DirecTV, but has a strong right, exactly. Like, they're not gonna tell you. But also too, you got to remember, when I was downrange, it was 2004, dude. Germany, USERA did not have up to date. I had better weaponry coming from Fort Irwin. Okay, let that sink in. We had M16A4s at Irwin. All right, I got downrange. ODS rifles, A2 rifles, ODS, Operation Desert Storm rifles, to a National Guard unit for some ODS M4s. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. We're using 20-year-old equipment.
Oh,
I didn't even get IBA when I got downrange. Like, no kidding. Right? Like, you're going to do it. We're going to make it. But the desert environment and oil do not go together. All right. You can maintain an M16, you can maintain an M4, you can maintain a SAW, a 240 Bravo as much as you want. If you don't find workarounds to sandstorms, you're going to have issues. Oh, yeah. 124 gold dot, not a problem. You can even shoot the plus P in the SAR-9. That's plus P rated. But yeah. Yeah, it was insane. We were in Mule Skinner's, where we started out at, so that was Afrania, right outside of Baghdad. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Anybody who's got SAR-9 questions, the Snob's got one that he loves, absolutely runs all the time. But he likes the thing. But switching gears before we go off on too far of a tangent, which we've already done,
Too late.
let's talk about the upcoming YouTube video that we're going to be doing on the FN 57 and Ruger 57. Me and Erik took it out to his father-in-law's house the other day and shot him. And I got to say, I was pretty impressed with both pistols. My big thing, I'd never shot the actual 57 FN
either.
before. I'd never shot the pistol. I'd handled it, never shot it.
Everyone I know that had one was like, check it out, shoot it. I don't have ammo. You can throw it at him.
Yeah, you know, it's real heavy. He's heavy. You beat him with it. But
we're close to South Carolina here. That's acceptable behavior. So,
you know, a lot of people bring up the safety right off the bat, and for me, it was weird. But from a training standpoint, I can also understand it because you're carrying this in more than likely a drop leg or cross draw on the chest rig holster. So where are you going to be indexed the moment you pull that thing? You're going to be indexed right where that safety is. A simple flick of the finger, boom, 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 boom. So I can see training it and it being second nature.
it's also ambidextrous too, which is nice. So
Yes.
Lefty righties, it's the same. I have to give them that. It is a training discipline thing, kind of like a paddle safety on the 1911 versus the trigger safeties everything has nowadays. It's just a training. It's not like the Beretta or the old P-Series Rugers where the safety lever's up on top of the slide and it's just in a completely unnatural position. You know?
In a completely wrong,
Well,
totally
yeah,
wrong position.
No part of your hand is up on top of the slide at any point when you draw the weapon. If it
That's
is,
where
you're
we put
doing something wrong.
Oh, it's good way. Well, you know, it's because I don't believe in carrying with one in the pipe. It's scary.
Well, you're going to meet folks like that, and I mean, to each their own, I guess.
Oh, and that's the thing. You know, each their own. Makarov, you can make it happen, but you have to have the right holster.
You have to have the holster.
The holster, which is almost impossible to come by. And if anyone ever watches Brandon Herrera, watch that hilarious video he did on it, because you got to be a stout dude. I mean, I'm not saying he's a weak guy or anything, but I mean, physically, you've got to be wider because this is a thing you've got to have real tight on the body. And he was ripping through it, but it almost pulled his pants off because he's not a big guy. He's really not.
Too, though, they're wearing attack racks, so
yeah,
they have suspenders normally.
Yeah, exactly.
This was never meant to be a concealed weapon. You know?
No.
Meant to be a combat for like a sidearm. You know.
And it was, well, for the money, you are correct because you know. Right now, I think PSA has them shipped for like $10.99. I want to say, and
let me look.
The Ruger is half that. So price wise, yes, it will. But oh yeah, totally, it's a horrible trigger pull on the Makarov. But where the Ruger 57 is going to beat it is in the price every time. That's obvious. And honestly,
out of the box trigger too.
Yeah,
out of the box the trigger on the Ruger is
way better because it's
Ruger 57 goes for $10.99 on Palmetto. The FN. Oh, that's the FN.
Yeah.
57
Ruger. The Ruger's what, $6.99 or something?
Yeah, right around. I think MSRP on the Ruger's right at $700. So that means you're finding, you know, probably between $650 to $680-ish on the street price, I would say. But that also depends.
Ruger mags cost? Do you know, Erik? Do you see that?
The Ruger one's $40.
So
20 rounder.
Yeah, so magazine price is going to be basically the same on either platform, and that's going to be just because of the odd shape of the mag. Decocker only version for the. It's literally dozens, maybe. That's great. That distracted me. I was reading the function of the 5.7. The thing that the 5.7 will fill that isn't offered by another round is the fact that it is purposely designed to be shot out of a barrel between 5 and 8 inches long, which is what makes it perfectly suited for personal defense. After about 50 meters to 100 meters, that round, yeah, it's still zipping, but it's all over the place because it's destabilized at that point. This round is specifically designed to be low recoil and just smack the hell out of whatever it hits. And when it does, because it's basically a 22 on steroids, because it is a 224-ish diameter round, as soon as it hits, it tumbles, just like it's meant to.
Yeah, it was designed to be armor piercing.
Exactly.
So that's why the acceleration so much.
Funny little side note on that is that I work with a couple body armor companies, and they all say that's a very easy round to stop.
Oh, on body armor, it will be.
Yeah.
The good ammo.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
If we had the stuff that was designed and tested with when the Secret Service,
Oh yeah,
they wouldn't say that.
No, the
And
5.7.
I'm not a huge 5.7 fan. Brandon will vouch for that. I just know what it's capable of.
Oh, yeah.
We get crap ammo here. Civilian market it's just recently really got good, hollow point ammo for it.
Yeah. Now the game changer will be spear. They're talking about developing a gold dot for the 5.7, and if they can get expansion on that, like they do their other rounds that law enforcement love, at the because that in the video when I finish editing it and getting it up, you'll see the big difference between the target premium grade ammo that we were shooting, which was federal premium target, okay, and the actual LE stuff that we had gotten our hands on. Huge difference. All right. And understandably so, because it's a solid copper round, lead free, being the LEO, compared to your usual jacketed boat tail solid bullet. Ball ammo.
Here's my question that I want to see what Spear does with it. With most hollow points, you get about a 40% expansion on the diameter. You're still talking about a bullet that if it expands 40%, it's going to be about the size of a 9mm going in. So unless they can make that bad boy expand a huge amount, I really don't know that it's going to be any more successful than it is now. Because it's like, oh, look, it expanded. It's the size of a standard 9mm bullet.
But where it will overcome a standard 9mm is capacity.
Yeah.
The fact that you can dump 30 rounds as opposed to a standard capacity double stack 9mm, which is generally 15 to 17 rounds, depending on what make and model, obviously. No, the 5.7, because it's a lot heavier, is pretty good varmint. Honestly, it'd make a because it doesn't do what 17 and 20 do literally when someone breathes on it. It's going to stay pretty tracked just because you're dealing with 40 to 60 grain bullet weight as opposed to the highest 17 you can get about 35, 40 grains just because physically of how small it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see where the 22 TCM would be better than the 5.7, but again, it's just like Erik had said, you're dealing with wound channels. No matter how much expansion, you're still dealing with a bullet that's a tiny diameter. Where the 5.7 comes, where its strong suit is in that, is the fact, like I said, you can dump 30 rounds into somebody real fast.
Too, though, having shot both of those the other night, it's not much different than shooting like a good solid 124 grain 9mm as far as recoil goes.
Yeah,
it's very similar. It's zipping, it is screaming, and you get 20+1 out of those standard magazine. That's nice. But when we're talking actual ballistics, I don't know. I really don't think there's a huge advantage. Unless Spear comes out and goes, look, this thing's like a ½ inch when it gets done expanding. Now, that would be cool.
It'd be interesting to see what Lehigh could do, too, with some of their extreme penetrator stuff.
If they could pull something off. You remember the silver tip Winchester 223?
Oh,
now, that stuff's dangerous, boy. That's an expanding bullet. That's 223 that comes out over fire. over 500 in a lot of instances.
Oh yeah,
So if they can pull something like that off now, that would be wicked.
some nasty silver tip.
Yeah, it is.
The 22 TCM is a similar. I relate it to shooting a 357 SIG. Honestly, out of a rifle, I would like to get the rifle for my daughters to use to hunt with because it's a centerfire cartridge, so they can. BFR and 4570. Yeah, because at least if you miss them, they'll be deaf and on fire, and you can beat them to death with the 8 pounds of revolver.
Casually walk over and maybe even saunter.
So I mean, I think 5.7 has its purposes. I think its big advantage is just alone ammo capacity. The amount of capacity is where for a PDW it makes sense. And we're talking when people hear PDW and immediately go John Wick and stuff. I'm talking personal defense weapon in your house, something that's small, easy to maneuver. A lot of people live in apartments. You don't want something that you're going to blast through 15 people's apartment and accidentally hurt someone. And a lot of the ammo on the market for some of these smaller rounds is very frangible, which is perfect. Hits, a person, 40 of them, they're not going to be real happy. They're probably, they're eventually going to run out of hydraulic fluid, and whoop, down they go.
They do get back up. That is the only part we need to get right.
Kind of just even veering off of that a little bit. I know we probably never even really talked about it, but just a little tidbit of information towards the end of each episode. Let's kind of talk about self-defense and that kind of realm. People clean their guns. People over-clean their guns. Every time they go shoot and they go clean it, throw it back together, then they're like, oh, my gun's fine. They didn't go test fire it. They didn't go see if it's good.
Nope.
And you're just sitting there going like, that still fires, right? And they're like,
yeah. My favorite response is, well, yeah, it's a Glock.
Yeah,
it should, but you did have it apart. I mean, they can make the best gun in the world, but like you said, it's been apart since you cleaned it, and you haven't tested it since you cleaned it. Yeah, I agree. We all work in this industry, so we see the guns come in, and they'll be completely unserviced, completely unreliable, with pieces missing sometimes. We've got guns in, and people are like, well, I've been carrying it for 3 years, so I decided to send it in. You realize it's missing parts, right? What?
Yeah, and they have no idea because they've taken it apart. Just a simple functions check.
Is maintenance is important, but so is understanding the function of it. You can't just clean it and assume it's good.
And the gun snob, he's not wrong. Like, I was around a customer the other day, and I was talking about this, KS-47 build, and I was like, gun isn't even going to work until it's dirty. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, until I got enough grease on that, it's not running.
Yeah, you've got to run it through its paces to get it there, but you have to maintain it. You can't just expect, well, I cleaned it, that's it. Reload it, put it back in your holster. Well, did you function check it? Well, like Erik just said, we get guns in all the time, missing pieces. All the time.
Most of the guns we get in, aren't lubed what I would consider to be sufficiently. And it's one of those things that, we try to pass that along to the customer. Hey, make sure you run this with some lube once in a while. Your body heat does evaporate the stuff out, so to speak. It's not a bad idea. And carry guns, I know that me and Brandon have talked about this in the shop a lot. Once a week, every 2 weeks at least, I pull them down and lube it. Whatever gun I'm carrying for this season gets lubed, whether I shot it or not, because you don't have to fully detail strip a gun to lube it. You don't even have to really take it apart to lube most of them.
No.
Well, and that's the truth there. I mean, being in the industry or being prior military or law enforcement, and if you're any kind of guy actually behind the gun, a gun that malfunctions, I'm not saying this is perfect science, and I don't agree to it, but if you over lube a gun, it's typically going to run.
Yeah.
Go run win. That's
You
for
know,
sure.
Yeah, it's not going to be the end of the world.
This is backwards. This is stupid.
Yeah, it's real
Okay.
confusing when you're
So
trying to
here,
get the camera lined up.
you're talking about that, Eric. So on the back of your cases, that's something else I've seen. It's in front of that topic. Carry guns, when you do pull them down to lube them for their weekly, hopefully bi-weekly maintenance, that top round that's been in the chamber, every time it gets stripped, it does work on that ledge.
yep.
So be conscious of that. I'm not saying it'd be a problem, but when you do that, it might not be a bad idea to drop that down a couple rounds. Or,
So-
after you've done this, say, hey, I've been using this same mag for 3 months, go shoot it.
Well, let's talk on that topic real quick, because I have a little different perspective on that. And I have a number in my head. Let's say we do it 4 times. So let's say I did it once a week. At the end of the month, I'm taking that round. I'm not saying we're all, balling on a budget. It goes into my test fire bin ammunition.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Even if you throw it at the bottom of the mag, there's still that
Still that
fat.
chance. No, I agree. And every time I say that is I've had people go, well, I can't throw it away. We'll put it on the bottom.
On another
we got a
bad
bucket in the armory that we do that with.
yeah, another bad habit people have, and I see this all the time in LEOs, and guys that I know are highly trained in what they do, putting the same round back in the chamber the very first round and never rotating it. Well, eventually that bullet starts seating back.
Yeah.
And seats back and seats back and seats back and seats back. And then what you end up having is you go to pull and you fire from the same round you've rechambered 15, 20, 30 times. You just created a pressurized issue with the round because it's packed up against powder where it shouldn't be. And you've overpressurized it and you're going to cause a catastrophic failure. So not just, I rotated every single time. Yeah, you can rechamber the same round a couple times. Press checking is not going to hurt a round you keep chambered. But like Jonathan Picone brings up, if you leave an old round chambered in something you put in the safe or something like that, and that can be hard to extract. And that's where the lubrication part comes into play, because never chamber around unless it is clean and lubed. And with and here's the thing with rifles, he also brings up another point. People put them away and they're clean, but just being in there, eventually the elements will start to draw the oil away. It's going to get out into the atmosphere, and that stuff can happen. I tell you, one of the big things I do before I put stuff away, even with chambered around, is Hilco lube. Just a nice light coat if it's going into long-term storage. Hilco lube, because that stuff works really well.
So talking about proper maintenance.
Hey, so we're getting down to the last about 2 minutes. Well, you see, you started.
Finish what you were saying, Eric.
Oh, talking about maintenance though, and just going to the range versus, let's say, our duty. I'm going to use duty across CCW to Tier 1 operator, and you'll hear these from a lot of the Tier 1 operators. You have your range magazine, you have your duty magazine.
Yep.
Now, with that, do you guys have any tips and tricks for proper maintenance of the magazines?
The range magazines get blue tape on the bottom. They don't get circulated.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Do you guys ever take them apart and clean them?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to pull your magazines apart.
When you do your maintenance, you punch the gun down to pieces, you lube it, you reassemble it, you function check it, punch the magazine down. It'll take like 2 minutes. You wipe it out. Most of your magazines you can run under some hot water, and like he said, get them nice and dry, and then take some lube. We use a lot of Tetra, we use a lot of Hilco lube. Just a wet, wipe and then side it, reassemble it, and you're back in business.
And say that's the thing. I think people are scared to use water sometimes. It's okay to use water, guys. It's
Quality
not.
magazines now.
I mean, it's not going to hurt a magazine.
Well, even with the water,
Well,
like our
yeah.
ultrasonic cleaner, we use simple grain for the cleaning fluid. It comes out, it goes into a bath of water.
Yeah.
After it goes out of the water, it gets blow dried off, air compressed, whatever, and then you go throw the oil. Well, what a lot of people don't understand is that if you just take it out of the simple grain or whatever your cleaning product is, and now you go throw oil,
You've
literally
trapped
just
it.
recreating the same thing we just did to clean it again.
Yeah.
I don't answer the emails during the weekend, so I'll get you squared away on Monday first thing. No problem.
We keep them in the basement during the weekend if you can't tell.
If you can't tell, they lock me in a dungeon where I'm not allowed to come out of, and this is it. They feed me pizza and pancakes because it's flat and fits under the door, but it's not like good pizza. It's like the little Tony's pizzas that are like cardboard because they fit under the door.
And then right when I know he's about to fall asleep, I whisper, "Put the lotion on the skin."
So we went.
You wait till he's almost asleep.
That's true. Yes, do that, Snob. And last shameless plug of the night before we sign off. A little something we're working on. A little something that we'll tell you about is GP After Dark. N.A.G's going to be a part of that too. It's going to be it's going to be N.A.G on the pole. No.
Round and around he goes.
What the idea stems from is we're all in the industry. We do work with certain companies, but what kind of cigar have you got? He's curious.
Alec Bradley, Temper.
Alec Bradley, yeah, what he said.
Alec Bradley Temper.
Temper.
Pretty good. I like it. Staple in the humidor.
But that's actually kind of goes into part of the After Dark thing, where we'll be doing some weekly shows coming up from the speakeasy there of stuff that we're just buying with our own money. This isn't, nobody's paid us. This isn't Patreon stuff. This isn't, hey, this is literally out of pocket. Here's what we think of it. This is it. This is the raw, unedited. Here's what it is.
So this is something that I was talking to Brandon about. We talked about it a year ago, I guess. But this is something my wife's been hassling me to offer. Is she's like, she's watched some of these gun channels and stuff, and they're good. I'm not saying they're bad in any way. I'm just saying if we do it this way, we can be honest with you guys, but nobody anything. The guns you'll see are guns that we purchased out of pocket, and you'll get an idea of what we expected from them, what they did. We won't take, nobody's going to send us ammo. We're not going to take any of that stuff. Don't want any Patreons. Just to give you guys information and teach a little bit, like Erik was talking about with the CCW maintenance. That'll be stuff we'll kind of talk about, stuff that we've done for decades, what works, what's nichey, but what works.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And then we'll throw in some fun stuff. We're going to talk about some cigars, one of my favorite subjects, and coffee, because they go great together. And just kind of give everybody, this is sort of a real life that we do this all day during the day. Here's some of the stuff that we enjoy and some of the stuff that we unwind with.
I'm super excited about this because you guys didn't tell me about this, but you know what I've been doing all weekend? You remember how I used to work in my garage, Brandon?
Yes.
And now I have a shop. Well, we rearranged the whole shop, and I'm getting part of my shop back in my garage so I can start tinkering all my stuff again. So I'm pumped. I'm like, yeah.
See, there you go. And that's just it. I think it's something that people want to see and probably need to see, because the reality of it is, no matter what our backgrounds are, we're just normal dudes, man. Like, this is it. Literally, I'm in my basement. This is my basement. This is it. This is our lives. This is what we do, and
it'll be good too, because think about it. Give us a chance to, you guys can see some of the normal stuff that we do for fun, and it'll give you an idea of the pistols and stuff. You guys can make the suggestions, and we'll try to make sure that we do a balance. If we show something really cool that's expensive, I want to make sure we balance it out with something that's comparable, that's more affordable and will fill the same need, but is decent. I don't want to throw any cheap stuff out there that everybody's going to laugh at because they know it doesn't work. But
it won't be
something
Jimenez,
Yeah,
which
it won't be,
it doesn't matter anyway. They're bankrupt. So
maybe we could go get some like a police auction and get one that's murder proven or something.
that's true. We could call Schluter shots, see if we can get the guns before they take them apart. They're like, hey, some of them guns y'all got that evidence room. Yeah, can we have some of those? How do we get them?
It would be very entertaining.
It would be. I don't want to know about the bodies on them. I'd prefer not to know what's got bodies on it. Like, oh, I'm good. But yeah, I think it'll be something that be really good. Plus, like I've got, like Erik just said, he's getting some of his stuff back in his garage. I've got my own home shop too. Everybody does. It just so happens these two, it's basically they can walk out. Mine though, I just walk out my garage. My shop's there too. So it'll be entertaining to start doing some stuff like this and just be like, hey, here's some of the stupid things we do. But here's some of the really cool stuff we play with, and here's what we can make happen on something, because we understand, man, people got budgets. You can't run out and buy an SAI. You can't run out and buy an STI. We get it. That's why we try to make the stuff we do affordable, and we will be able to find good alternatives to a lot of this stuff that won't break the bank.
You don't know how many customers that bring in their broken guns and are like, I don't want this anymore. How much do you want for it? Nothing. I'll keep it. I'll fix it. I don't got the money either.
Exactly. That's right. Your 605 poly protector is a perfect example of that. All right.
Bro,
well,
I'm so pumped.
So before we sign off, a little shameless self-promotion here. Be sure to follow N.A.G Industries on Facebook and Instagram. We're going to be getting him. He needs to get his YouTube channel set up, but he'll be doing that. I'll walk him through the paces, get him and Joe up to speed. Because unlike me, he'll have someone who figured all this crap out already to lean on.
Lean on me.
When you're not strong.
Jumped in your lap and said, here.
That's right.
You said you were interested. Now you get to learn.
That's right. Be sure to give them a follow on Facebook and Instagram. Be sure to follow us on Firearms Friendly, Facebook, Instagram, Full 30, Gunstreamer, all that jazz. But mostly be sure to go by our websites, guys. That's our livelihoods. That's the best place to find our stuff and the services we offer. And so, as always, be safe. Yeah, I know, right?
He knows what I'm going to do. I'm just waiting.
I love that. Only STIs I can get, I'll pay my. All right. Well, that, guys, as always, be safe, be accurate, and God bless.